Did you know most European citizens, like me, have to apply for a new immigration status if we want to stay in the UK after Brexit? This program, called the EU Settlement Scheme, opened last year and applies to anyone from the EU, the European Economic Area, Swiss citizens, and their non EU family members. But here's the catch: you have to prove you have been living in the UK before December 31st, 2020. There are three main steps to the application: an ID check, a residency check, and declaring any criminal convictions. The deadline to apply is June 30th, 2021, so don't wait. If you apply and you're successful, then you will be granted settled status or pre-settled status, depending on how long you've been in the country. This may sound straightforward, but EU citizens have a lot of questions about this new system. Let's look at the top questions from the EU citizens we spoke to.
What is the difference between pre-settled status and settled status? If you have been living in the UK for more than 5 years, you are eligible to apply for settled status, which gives you indefinite leave to remain. If you have been living in the UK for less than 5 years or cannot prove that you have been living in the UK for that long, you'll be eligible to apply for pre-settled status. This status allows you to continue living in the UK for the next 5 years. You'll need to go again through the EU settlement scheme before your status expires. To get settled status, you'll need to prove that you have been continuously resident in the UK for at least 6 months of a year for 5 years.
I already have a document from the Home Office. Do I still have to apply? This is where it gets a bit complicated because it does depend on what type of document you have. Let's take a look at the main questions on this. I already registered with the Home Office through the worker registration scheme or had a work permit in the past. Do I still have to apply? Yes, if you registered with the worker registration scheme in the past or had a work permit, you still must apply to the EU settlement scheme. I have an EEA Permanent Residency document or registration certificate. Do I still have to apply? Yes, your permanent residency document won't be valid anymore after Brexit. You still have to go through the application process for the EU settlement scheme, but your permanent residency document will count as evidence. In a way, you'll be able to exchange your permanent residency document for settled status. If you have a registration certificate, you still must apply to the EU settlement scheme. However, this will not count as evidence. Your registration certificate only attests that you exercised treaty rights when you applied for it, and it is not permanent residence. Non-EU citizens can also apply through the EU settlement scheme if they can prove the relationship with an EU citizen and also their biometric residency permit. I have indefinite leave to remain or indefinite leave to enter as a stamp in my old passport. Do I still have to apply? Not exactly. If you have indefinite leave to remain, you don't have to apply to the EU settlement scheme. However, settled status may give you additional rights, such as being able to be outside of the UK for 5 years instead of 2 years before your status becomes invalid.
My children have British passports. Do I still have to apply for them? No. If your children have British passports, they are British citizens, and British citizens do not have to apply to your settlement scheme. If your children are not British, they will need to apply. You can apply for your child's status if they are under 21 years of age, or they can apply by themselves. Your own application can be linked to theirs using the number you will receive after submitting all of the paperwork. If you're not sure whether your children are British, you will need to seek further advice. If your children are British or your husband, this does not exempt you from applying to EU settlement scheme.
I have been working and paying taxes in the UK for a long time. Do I still have to apply? Yes. The application system checks your residence. It doesn't matter if you're working, studying, self-employed, or even unemployed. Even though the EU settlement scheme application will ask you for your national insurance number, you don't need to have one to apply. The automatic checks may be quicker if you have a work record, but you can also provide a range of other evidence to prove your residency.
I don't want to live in the UK long term. Should I still apply? Yes, after the deadline of June 30th, 2021, all European Union, European Economic Area, Swiss citizens, and non-EU family members who are in the UK need to have a status in UK law. It does not matter if you intend to work in the UK for a few years, move to another country after your university degree, or make plans to retire. Not having a status after the deadline could mean you are a resident unlawfully, which means you would be losing access to your right to work, welfare, and other benefits.
In our next video, we will answer your questions about what rights the settled status or pre-settled status give you. To apply to the EU settlement scheme, download the EU Exit ID Document Check app on your smartphone to check your identity. Then, continue your application on the gov.uk website at www.gov.uk/settled status EU citizens families/applying for settled status. You can also find more information about the EU settlement scheme online. The Settled website, settled.org.uk, contains information in different European languages. The EU Londoners Hub also contains information in different European languages, and there you can also find support with your application. If you need advice for your application, please email us at volunteer@settled.org.uk. Thank you so much for watching, and stay posted for our next videos.